37 seconds. All right. First and foremost, I want to give all honor, glory, and praises due to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai by Hashem Rakakadash. Also, want to give double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone who's teaching us truth and sincerity, and also who rule well. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect that are scattered four corners of the earth. You so-called, Negroes, Latino, Hispanics, Native American Indians. Brother Yuanathon from GMS Detroit. And don't want to know what I want to entitle this video yet, but I was watching the Elder Not the Zakba, and he was talking about this so-called Jake Israel, this Israelite, this Jake. He knew the names of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, but as you can see in his hands, he had tarot cards. Now me, and this is just me personally, I think, and excuse my Hebrew, you a fucking weirdo if you're into some cards. All right? But that's getting into, vibrations of idol worship, witchcraft, so on and so forth. So I'm going to get this one book in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 18, and we can start at 10. And it says, there shall not be found among you anyone that maketh, Slakia. Yep. Maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, and that useth divinations, or an observer of times, or enchanters, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard of necromancer. So you get into, if you get into history, you got people gets into tarot card readings, voodoo, some get into stage, the crystals, stuff like that. Now, we manage GMS, we use stones, we use sage, we use incense, we all do it to carry our prayers up to the Heavenly Father. But tarot card readings, that's just straight up fucking wickedness, man. When I was getting into listening to some of the history, it was getting into fortune telling. All right. And when I got into other scriptures, and I believe it was Leviticus 18 and 26 in the NLT, it was basically getting into divination and seeking out omens, or to figure out things beforehand in the truth. Okay? And Jake, we really do got a history of always trying to, going into these other philosophies, these other so-called spiritual things, when the most perfect way to get into the spirit is just going into the law, statutes, and commandments and the wisdom of these scriptures, man. And like I said, our people got a history, on that, getting into other philosophies, with the Haitians and the voodoo, Simeon. They got the whole book of Hosea when you get into Ephraim, and they was getting into a lot of these things. We got people that get into, like I said, the tarot cards, which is to me the most stupidest shit you can get into. All you're doing is shuffling. Shit, I can probably get a better reading. I'm not saying I am, but I'm saying I could barely get a better reading off some fucking Uno cards. Okay? And then, like I said, you got people that gets into the zodiac signs, putting all that energy in something that you shouldn't be getting into. All right? These are just examples of what, this is going to basically be an example of our people getting into fornications and, other things which we should not get into. Samuel's 15 and 23. And it says, so the Lord saved Israel nope, I'm sorry. This 14. It says, It's 1 Samuel 15 and 23. For rebellious is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is an iniquity and idolatry. Because thou have rejected the word of the Lord, he hath also rejected thee from being king. See, always want to get into these other philosophies, and it says, because he has rejected the word of the Lord, man. And what did the Lord say? So we're going to go and jump into Exodus. Because when you get into certain philosophies and certain other things, such as witchcraft, you're certain other gods, you're certain other idols, you know, because you get into, you know, incense and sage. The Buddhists use it. They use that too. But they're sending those prayers up to, you know, Buddha or whatever you want to, you know, Buddha and whatnot. But this is just some wicked, like, I don't even, bro. I don't know. So I'm going to get this scriptures. This is straight to the point. This is Exodus 20 and verse 3. It says, thou shalt not know other gods before me. And when you look in that verse, it's lowercase g, which means it's an idol. It's not the Heavenly Father. It's talking about these other deities, these other basically idols, man, that these people get into. Let me get some examples also in Hosea. Especially like the fourth chapter. Man. And like I was saying, it's our people too. When I was getting into, you know, when you look at the Haitians, the so-called Levites, when you look over there in New Orleans, they do that voodoo, you know, they do voodoo. So the Simeon, the so-called Dominicans over there in Puerto Rico, and I should know this, but I always stay clear in certain areas of the motherland. But it tells you that this is Hosea 5 and 17. Ephraim is joined to idols, let him alone. Okay? And, you know, there's a lot of our people that was getting into that. And even when it comes to the certain meals, it was another thing that the elder brought up. Even sometimes our meals can be, you know, can be formed of idols, you know, such as eating the swine. You get into the, you know, Maccabees, how they made them eat wine to defile the altar. There was some things, you know, in the book of Ezekiel, the 8th chapter. I'll grab that real fast. When it tells you you was eating the, I'll grab it. All right. This is a perfect example. Here we go. And it says, so I went, this is Ezekiel 9 and verse 10. No, let's start at 9. And it says, and he said unto me, go and behold the wicked abominations that they do here. So I went and it says, so I went in and saw, and behold, every form of creepy things and abominable beasts and all the idols of the house of Israel portrayed upon the walls around them. So they were getting into a lot of idol worship in those abominable beasts was actually, let's just get to the point. So I'm gonna jump down real quick. This is just a little history. And it says, let's jump down to 13. It says, he said unto me, turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations that they do. Then he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lords, which house was toward the north, and behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz. You know, Tammuz, you know, was a man who got killed by a wild boar. And what is also a boar? That's basically, you get into your swine, your pig, and then when you get into like certain feast days like Easter, especially Easter, what is the main course of that of Easter is pork, is swine. And that's why I was talking about, Tammuz, and you get into that history, he's talking about sun worship. Okay? So we have these people in the world, man, they don't have any faith, man. They're so gone into these other philosophies and these other idols, but we got all the answers right here. You can see the history right here, man. All the way from the Old Testament to the New Testament, and you can even see it now, man. I didn't want to make it too long. It was just a real bugged up, and it really irked my spirit. Hopefully, I can probably do a part 2, getting into some more history. But man, we ain't supposed to be mixing the wisdom, knowledge, understanding with some damn tarot cards, man. But nevertheless, I hope this video was edifying. And again, I want to give all honor, glory, and praises due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakbadash. And again, double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone, whose teachings truth and sincerity, and also who rule well. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. I want to close out, say shalom, and on to the next lesson.